Sa ating mga kababayan, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat. Noong nawala ako ng ilang araw, talagang sinadya ko yun. Ganun ako eh. Pagka kinakalkal mo ako, lalo akong, yung parang bata, pagka lalo mo akong kinakantsawan, mas lalo akong gagana. You know, the people must know that I am a resident of Davao City. I never pretended to be a resident of Sampaloc or Santa Ana. Sinabi ko ang my residence is the city of Davao. And if I want to go home there on reasonable basis, I can, because that is my home. And if I want to be unreasonable about it, talagang tawag sa Bisaya, gara-gara, pangkantsaw, ginagawa ko rin yan. Total naman yung pamasahe ko, hindi naman sa gobyerno. So I go home just to be there and come back the following day. But I miss the my daughter's birthday. Talagang hindi ako nakapunta doon because nagpipirma ako doong series of yung sa agriculture. Pinag-aralan ko, binabasa ko habang nagsasalita dito. I was really working on the papers, trying to find out if it's not in accordance with law. Must be lawful, and we have to intrude into so many things. But in times of crisis, we are just about really ready to embark on something that can help the people, especially on the food issue. Hindi na mawala yung iba. Wag lang yung food. And so now we have so many things. May basahin lang ako kay sa Instagram. This is what you would call Instagram. Namarunong nito. Kaya niyang mag-jogging. Kaya niyang mag-golf kahit gabi na. Kahit niyang magmotorsiklo sa loob ng Malacañang. Bakit? I'm reading this because Mon is my friend. Kinakantsawan ko lang rin. Bakit hindi kaya ang ating presidente na humanap ng tambayan ng National Television para maalis na ang agam-agam sa mamamayan sa kanyang kalusugan? Well, Mon, you've been my friend for a long time. You know that magkasabay lang tayo. Nag-abot pa tayo sa Ateneo de Davao noon. Magabulan lang tayo ng edad. Na kung sabihin mo may sakit ako, may sakit ako. Pero kung sabihin mo may sakit ako ngayon, that would prevent me from exercising the powers of the presidency. Wala ho. Kaya ako nagkakaswing ng golf, tapos nagmumotor, kasi kaya ko pa. Now the problem is, you should look into the time I enjoy my hobbies. Mon gabi yun, alas 2 na madaling araw. Ano ba naman? Hindi, sa araw makita mo ako nag-golf. Sabi ko, lalo na ito si Dilima. Sinasabi na nag-golf kasi may problema. Eh kung mag-golf naman ako ng gabi, hating gabi, eh umaalma na naman. Bakit ako nag-golf? Anak ng puta. Saan pa? Kailan pa ba ako? If you want me to die early, you must pray harder. Actually, what you intend or what you would like to happen is to see me go. You want me to go and you're praying for that. Tawag niyan sa Bisaya. Sa Tagalog ko dito, nakalimutan ko na yung mga Bisaya. Manungo. Yung manungo is mamatay ka sana. Yan ang sa Bisaya, manungo. Ngayon, kindly take a look backwards. Ilan na sa inyo nagkasakit at ilan na sa iyo ang malapit ng mamatay? Hindi naman kayo. So inyo kayo, hindi kayo, pero yung mga tao na inaano ninyo, inuudyok ninyong buhay, ang maging presidente pa, well, yun ang nakakasakit na ibig sabihin parang delikadong mamatay. Eh ako, gusto ko talaga magmotor. Kaya ang bala ko, ang hating gabi, lalabas ako, pupunta ako doon sa tong super, yung ginawa nila na bago ni si kanino ba ito? Well, I think it's the DPWH. The airports and all of the other governmental multiplications there kay Tugadi yan. Gusto ko magmotor. Kustal gabi naman. Kailangan lang ako ng dalawang pulis sa likod ko para walang mag-overtake at maiwasan. That's all I need. I just want to ride. Hindi naman masama yung and to ride at 2 o'clock in the morning, that is not taking the people's time. Ako, I've told you that I am good 1 o'clock downwards towards yan man. Alam ko, ginakantsawan ako ni Montoro po nito. I cannot be, sabihin mo na itong isa, nasaan ang presidente? You know, baka patay na. Sabihin ko sana na, nandito lang ako sa Malacañang, natutulog ako, mag-isa. Ikaw, sino ang kasama mo sa kama? Ikaw ba ang may-ari niyan? You know, it takes two to tango. Pag binabastos ninyo ako, hindi babastosin ko rin kayo. Kaya kay Dilima. Tama yan sa iyo. Magtiis ka, putang ina mo. Binastos mo ang Pilipinas ng druga dyan mismo sa National Penitentiary. Ngayon, sige kayaw-yaw dyan kung ano-anong pinagsasabi mo na hindi ko kaya. Bakit? Ikaw ba ang nag-elect sa akin? Did you elect me as president? I got my votes, substantial one, to make me a credible president. 6 million yan. Ikaw, nahuli ka because in your mad desire to be president, you were asking money from everybody. Yan ang nakahirap sa iyo. Hindi lang na you know, there's a saying that you can have your dreams, but it's always God who disposes everything. Kalimutan mo siguro ang Diyos dyan, basta sa damgo, ano man tawag ng damgo, kakaano mo, titingnan mo lang kung walang, tatagal kaya ako, ito prangkahan tayo, tatagal kaya ako dito sa putang ng pwesto na ito kung inutil ako? Would the military allow me to govern na ganon? Palampang pamalakad mo, wala kang ginawa. Yeah, that's hindi maganda yan. Kaya when you pretend to glee, ano siya, maligaya. Sige lang, sabi ko. Total, nagtitiis ka eh. Kami dito, we're enjoying the times of our lives, Singing sometimes, singing, laughing. Ikaw, nasa prisuhan, magtiis ka. Putang ina mo. Ginawa mo talaga yan. Huwag mong sabihin hindi mo ginawa. Ginawa mo yan. Remember, I was still mayor. You were criticizing me. Alaala mo? Criticizing me about human rights. Ang sinabi ko sa iyo, you better look into your own backyard. Ibig sabihin, at panahon na yon, ikaw ang thank you sa secretary na. Ginawa mo yan eh. Ganon ka lang. You are fighting with ferocity. Like a wounded animal na, alam mo, ganon eh. Totoo niyan. Gagawaan mo talaga yan. Sinabi ko noon, look at your own backyard. As early, so, if bright ka, kung bright ka, ma'am, it would have tell you that at that time, I already knew. Kasi, hindi lang ako ang nasa national. Marami ang tao na dumaan dito sa national na sa tulong ng tatay ko noon. My father was a cabinet secretary. May natulungan rin siya dito sa mga pwesto. Kaya at noon pa alam ko na naglalaro ka. Kung kaya lang walang maniwala, kaya tinatiming talaga namin. But at the end, had no recourse but to file a case against you. Not me, but government. So, yun yung sa iyo. Pero itong kay, anong halatang halata kayo, this Laila de Lima, stop covering for what? For what crime? For what pinasukan mo pa ang yung makakasira ng bayan natin. Actually, it is not enough na okay na sa akin na mano ka. You can be freed for all I care. But people know that you are a bitch. That's what you are. Matapang pa magsalita, kanang mo sino yung may kasalanan. Kung magsalita, kami pa yung nagtatrabaho. Galit ka lang kasi naging presidente ako. Galit ka lang kasi ako may ginawa ako sa bayan. Galit ka lang kasi hindi ako pumayag na itong bayan ko pupunta sa aso. Galit ako Kasi ang mga anak natin, hindi ako papayag na magiging narco state tayo. Galit ako dahil kung wala akong ginawa, we would have been a narco politic state. Hindi mo kaya yan. Yung ginawa ko, hindi mo kaya. Sa totoo lang. Hindi mo kaya. Naghahanap ka lang ng issue. Well, anyway, enough of you. Meron ditong well, I'm sure you have the report, Secretary Duque. But before that, let me give you a predicate of what has been discussed. Kasi yung ibang mga pamilya na frontliners, sila mismo daw, well of course, totoo, na if they go home to their families, itong mga trabahante na ito, whether it be the husband, the wife, or a daughter or a son, nurse, doctor, or what, when they go home to the house where nakatira yung mga taong iba na, and invariably, they are saying that they are afraid that eventually the COVID would catch up with them. So magandang sagot mo din yun na titignan natin and we will see. Anyway, God willing, itong vaccines na tinatrabaho ni Secretary Galvez, baka may dadating na. At kung dadating na, we can always reconfigure. Kami okay na ako. Baski kami yung ako magwe-wave ako. Magwe-wave ako. Because 70 above. Alam mo, 70 above. Ano mang makuha mo, magsige ka, dream of what? Living until kingdom come. Ako, mag-wave ako. Kung sino yung may gusto sa slot ko, ibigay ko. Wala akong masyado sa I am not fatalistic actually. I've always been na kung panahon ko na either it's COVID or Ebola or whatever disgrasya. Wala akong masyadong dyan sa illusions about life and death. If anyone wants to have it, they can have it. We are not in the priority anyway kasi above na. Ang unahin natin yung mabubuhay pa. Well, come to think of it actually. Ang unahin natin yung medyo pag nabigyan ng vaccine, there's a chance that he would live and live productively. Iyon naman ang aking pangsagot doon sa na kami nga, mag-wave kami. Total, kami yung mga bracket na few of us only are there in government working. Most of the senior citizens are no longer that productive. Pera na lang yung na-elect itong mga na naging congressman, senador. Kasi may trabaho talaga yan. Pero after this, wala na akong nothing to look forward to. Maybe spend a little bit time with the family than time to go. Wala na kami masyadong maibigay sa ating bayan. Sa edad namin, kung hindi kami na-elect, baka talagang gano'n na nga. So, ang gusto kong sagot, baka may sagot ka dyan na Secretary Doge. Go ahead.
Yung pong tinanong niyo, Mr. President, magandang gabi po, sir, at sa akin po mga kapwa kalihim at lahat po ng naka-Zoom. Tama po kayo, Mr. President, yung ating po mga healthcare workers ay binabantayan po natin sila at ang mga ospital ay every 2 weeks ay tinetest po sila para nang sa ganon ay malaman kung sila po ba ay positive at kung may sintomas din sila, kaagaran naman pong sila ay ina-isolate or kung positive sila at meron pong exposure pero walang symptoms, kina-quarantine po sila. So, ito naman po ang regular na pangangalaga na ginagawa po sa atin mga healthcare workers dahil tama po kayo, Mr. President, ay kung hindi gagawin ito, makakapanghawa po sila sa kanila po mga kapamilya sa bahay. Kaya ngayon po, inatasan po natin ng mga ospital natin na mag-reserba ng mga hotel rooms, mag-reserba po ng mga lugar na doon po ang paglalagyan ng ating po mga doktor or mga nurses na sila po ay nagkaroon ng sintomas at nagkaroon po ng kumpirmasyon na positive for COVID-19. So ito po naman pong mga ginagawa na ito nung nakaraang taon pa ho, naging policy na po natin ito sa mga ospital.
You know, let us talk about government power. You know, itong pinasok ko na nag-declare ako ng national emergency, health issue. It includes everything that is connected with it. Basta health issue. You cannot just say hanggang dyan ka lang. Government can expropriate yung mga hotels, motels, whatever, kung kulang ang mga halfway houses natin, yung naghihintay. So, we kind of have the power. The government has the power to just expropriate. Puntahan na lang, sabihin gagamitin. Huwag naman siguro yung mamahalin na hotel. Yung ano lang. But do not be afraid actually, my countrymen, that magkulang tayo. Magkulang tayo sa medisina. Nagkulang tayo sa vaccine. Yung problema na yan, hindi lang atin. Ng problema na yan hanggang sa buong daigdig yan. Pinapalabas lang nito nila dilema na walang magawa. Na wala naman talagang silang magawa. Kaya nga ko siguro kung tinamaan ka ng COVID dilema, masabihin ko sa iyo, okay lang yan. Kasi ikaw, kung anong pinagsasabi mo, yung COVID na yan, hindi yan atin. Remember, right at the beginning, I was already delivering a very solemn speech na there's something coming our way. It's a microbe, it's a virus, and eventually it would lead to our shores. We must be prepared for this because sabi nila, this can be another pandemic. And true to form, ito na nga, pandemic nga ang lumabas. So, noon pa sinasabi ko na, walang gamot ito. Ang gamot nito, yung katarantaduhan ni Lima and the others, who are now harping on government for something which is not there. Baski ano kung I can call to the heavens, God to come, God give us the magic wand, the magic bullet. Wala yan. Ngayon, pero kulang. Na just the same, at pag-umpisa pa lang natin, sinabi ko na sa inyo, agawan ito. Tayo mahirap lang, so tayo talaga ang last nito. Ibig sabihin, those who have the money will get it first. And those who have the countries who manufacture the vaccine first will have the first supply for their own. Wala tayong magawa niyan. Kung tatakbo man ito ng ilang taon, it could run until heaven. Ito ang ano nila. It could run until heaven's time. Ibig sabihin, panahon ng mamatay lahat. Wala talaga tayong magawa. So, yan ang I hope that we have answered your questions. Charles, you have a report? Can give us also sa bakuna.
Mr. President,
Ano?
Senator Bongo, fellow cabinet members, mga kababayan ko, magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. At ngayon pong gabi ay magkakaroon po tayo ng update sa ating current COVID response and vaccine rollout. Mr. President, sasama ko na po yung COVID response kasi tumataas po ang kaso po natin at sa pamumuno po ni Secretary Duque, marami po kaming ginagawa po ngayon para mag-increase ang ating mga bed capacity po. With your permission, Mr. President. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Sir, ang i-discuss po natin po ngayon, mahal na Presidente, ay yung government current trust during our ECQ at saka yung MECQ control. So, ginagawa po natin to nung nagkaroon tayo ng ECQ in order to increase our capacity. And then, bibigyan po din natin na update ang ating mamamayan sa rollout and deliveries and yung short presentation ng private sector contribution. Kasi yung private sector po, nagko-contribute po sila para ma-expand po yung capacity ng mga hospital. At the same time, tutulungan po tayo sa pagbabakuna. Next slide, please. Sir, Mr. President, nagpapasalamat po ang mga ospital at saka po yung private at saka mga LGUs, private at saka public hospital dahil kasi po first time po na nangyari na napakalaking babayaran po ng PhilHealth na more or less 10 billion. Sir, maraming salamat po at kinausap niyo po si President Atty. Giran. At tuwan-tuwa po ang NCR Plus at saka po si Senator Bongo, si Secretary Duque at saka si Almidea po ay talagang yung instruction niyo po na talagang magkaroon po ng collective decision sa pagano po ng PhilHealth ay napakaganda po dahil kasi po yung pagbayad po ng PhilHealth ng more or less 9.577 billion for NCR Region 4 at saka Region 3 ay nangako po sila na mag-expand po sila ng kanilang mga ICU beds. At nangako po sila na mag-expand sila ng 164 po na ICU beds at mag-o-open po sila ng mga additional wards and beds na humigit kumulang po na 1,157 beds for moderate and severe. And then also, sinasabi nga po nila, nagkaroon po ng halos nung mga weekends at saka nung last week, tuloy-tuloy po yung meeting ni Secretary Duque at saka Secretary Vince at saka nila ES at saka nila Senator Bongo sa mga hospital owners at talagang nagpapasalamat po sila sa inyo, mahal na Presidente, dahil kasi talagang ang laki po ng tulong kasi they are bleeding and ang laki po ng ang laki pong tulong sa resources po noon. More or less 60% po ng kanilang mga valid claims ay mabibigay na po sa kanila. Ang tagal po nilang inintay po yung last year tsaka pakaan po ngayon. Kaya tuwan-tuwa po sila nung maibibigay na po yung mga cheque para po sa kanila. And then makapag-hire na rin po sila ng mga additional staff. Next slide, please. At saka ang ating mga NCR LGUs, kasama rin po sila na mabibiyayaan dahil kasi po yung mga tinatawag natin mga LGU hospitals ay nabigyan din po ng mabibigyan din po ng PhilHealth. At ito po ay nangako rin po sila na yung mga city ng Quezon City, Taguig, Caloocan, Manila, Pasay, Valenzuela, San Juan, Navotas, Parañaque at Makati have initially committed na magkakaroon po sila ng additional 30 ICU beds para sa ating mga critical patients. And also additional 1,350 regular COVID beds for moderate, mild, and asymptomatic. Next slide, please. Yun po, yung sa expansion po na yun, ay talagang, kung titingnan po natin, nag-compute po kami nila Secretary Duque at DOH po, sir, kung ano po yung gagawin natin sa expansion. So kung titingnan po natin sa ngayon, may more than 100,000 na po tayo na active case. And normally 2% po nun na severe at critical. So we will be needing 2,000 beds for severe and critical. Sa ngayon po, ang current inventory po natin ay 1,395 ICU beds. So nangangailangan pa po tayo ng total na 605 ICU beds. So ito po yung pangangailangan po natin. At talaga pong sinususugan po ni Secretary Duque na sila Secretary Villar, Secretary Vince at saka yung ating mga DPWH ay talagang ini-increase ang capacity po natin.
May I interrupt? Allow me to interrupt. Ito ang mga the purchase of beds, gawa ito ng is this the one that is the money being used is sa PhilHealth?
For government beds po, meron po silang budget para po sa mga kama. Ito naman pong bayad ng PhilHealth nakakatulong to augment kung may mga kailangan lang pong mga expansion plan. At halimbawa, ito pong pagdagdag ng mga ICU beds ng mga private hospitals and the LGU hospitals, ay pwede naman po nilang gamitin yung reimbursements from PhilHealth. Kaya malaking pong tulong ang inyo pong naging desisyon na magbayad po kaagad ang PhilHealth. Initially, 60% ng kanilang outstanding claims starting March 2020 to April 2021. Yung po mga government hospitals, Mr. President, meron naman po sila mga nakalaan na budget for procurement of iba capital outlay. So ito po ang isa sa mga pinagbabudgetan po ng ating gobyerno para po sa kanilang mga kama. Pero kung halimbawa nagkaroon nga ng ganitong state of public health emergency na kinakailangan palawigin ang capacity, ay pwede naman po nilang magamit yung PhilHealth reimbursements. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Let me dwell on something that's always bugging government officials. Kayong secretary. You know, sabi ko, ito do sa PhilHealth kasi because I could sense the hesitancy si maggastos. At tinatanong ko lang kung bakit ko siya. He's just being too careful and maybe prudent. Sabi ko, look, if that is what your style of managing the affairs, sabi ko, hindi talaga tayo magkaroon ng himaya nito. Kasi, ang alleluia. Kasi I sense that medyo careful lang rin si. Now, I am addressing my problem, my advice to all of you. Basta ginagawa lang ninyo para sa bayan at maglagay kayo ng demarcation line doon sa panahon kayo ang manutok over. Tapos magsabi kayo, sige ha, dito ako mag-umpisa. Tapos gawain mo trabaho mo. Do not be afraid to spend money because that is really it's intended to be spent. Yan ang gastos niyan. Kaya nilalagay natin yan sa budget tapos para gastusin. Huwag kayong matakot maggastos. Just follow rules. Madali lang man talaga yan. Just, alam mo, pag ganito, unless it is one of those exempted from exempted from the ano nito, nakalimutan ko na tuloy itong yung you buy without bidding. Is there a word for it again?
Negotiated procurement po, Mr. President.
Negotiated.
Negotiated procurement.
Well, if that is needed, actually, negotiate, that's the word. Negotiated sale, and if it is really good, masabi ninyo, you justify it the moment sa pagbili ninyo. Huwag kayong matakot maggastos. Nandyan ako sa likod ninyo. And I will vouch for you if the transaction is legal and right. But if it is wrong and there's money involved, ay putang ina, magkakagano tayo dyan. Pero huwag kayong gumastos na, gastusin ninyo yung kailangan ninyo. At you might want to address your letter to me. Mr. President, I'm buying this because we need this. Mr. President, I'm buying this because we're always at the receiving end of criticism that we do not have it. So you are buying it in advance. Kung bakit na in advance, wag na tayo, hindi ako maghintay ng another round of criticism that you do not have the. So if the pandemic is there and the beds are intended to be rolled out whether as sale or sabi ko kay Giran, huwag kang magtipid. Hindi ito panahon sa tipid. Ilarga mo lahat yan na kailangan ng tao. Baski hindi pa kailangan, lagay mo lang dyan. Total, aabot rin yan. Na ngayon, pagdating ng panahon, bakit ka nagbili ka ng sobra? Bakit? Is there a way of knowing how many or how few ang tamaan ng COVID ngayon?
Sir, can we continue po, sir? Sir, actually, sir, ito, sir, namin, yung projection, sir, natin, 2%. Immediate po ito, sir. Pero yung legacy natin, sir, na talagang i-prepare natin yung ating healthcare facilities. Meron din kaming projection, sir, ng 5%. So, initially, ang sir, natin, for the purpose of preparing our healthcare facility during MECQ, ito po, sir, target natin 600 immediate. Pero ang sir, natin, kailangan dagdagan talaga po natin para maging resilient tayo. Mga 2,000 ICU beds po talaga.
Dagdagan mo?
Opo.
May mo na.
Pero sa ngayon po, sir, ito muna ang target po namin dahil kasi marami pong requirements sir, sa mga tinatawag nating medical staff. Next slide, please. Sir, ito, sir, ang ginagawa, sir, namin ngayon sa Sec Duque, Sec Beans, at saka lahat ng sir, natin, isolation SAR, si Sec Villar, and also yung DepEd, tumutulong na rin po. So ito po, isa-isa po namin non-line item po, Mr. President. So una po, sir, yung 110 na beds na ibigay na po natin. Si Senator Bongo po ang nag-turnover doon sa Quezon Institute. And then meron tayong inano po ngayon, kahapangina, si Yusek Vega po, sir, ini-expect niya na po yung National Center for Mental Health. Meron po tayong available na 960 beds na pwede pong gamitin for COVID. So available na po yon. And then si Mr. Dante ang Manila Times, nag-volunteer po siya. Meron siyang 300 beds. And then also sa New Clark City, meron pong another 165 beds. And then sa iba makapag-termina, meron 200 beds. And then sa Bataan Port, and then also yung yung inyong directive sa amin na huwag natin pababayaan ang healthcare workers ng ating mga big hospitals. So nag-produce din po tayo ng 200 Haiti hotel beds para po sa PGH, East Avenue, NKTI, Kidney, at saka yung lung center. And then ginagawa na po natin ngayon ang DPWH na malapit na po matapos po yan, yung 20 dialysis beds doon sa NKTI, care of DPWH. And also meron din po tayo na baka ma-inaugurate din po natin na this coming May, yung 88 beds ng modular hospital sa lung center of the Philippines. So total po, meron po tayong magkakaroon po tayo ng 1,178 moderate severe beds and meron po tayong 1,045 for mild and asymptomatic. Next slide, please.
Sandali. Sa karami na ngayon, sa karaming kama na naibili mo, magkasya yan sa ospital?
Sir, actually, sir, yung mga, ito yung tinatawag nating mga allocation of beds. Meaning, kasama po ang room, kasama po yung tinatawag na mga facility.
Ano na yun?
Opo, pagka po sinabing bed, kasama po yung mga monitors, lahat po yun, sir, tsaka mga staff.
Taken into account.
Yes, sir. Kung magkasano, sistema na po yun, pagka beds, may kasama po ng mga system po yun, wards.
Isang tanong ko po, yung modular, for a certain hospital, Quezon City or Labor Hospital or something, if they run out of space in the hospital, you can go to modular.
Sir, actually, sir, yung tiningnan po namin ni Senator Bongo at saka ni Secretary Duque po, sir, ang ganda po, sir, ng ginawa ng DPWH. May sarili siyang piping at tubings na po ng mga oxygen. At saka maganda po yun, parang 5 building. Iba-ibang klase, meron pang severe, may moderate, at saka pang bed down.
So that it goes without saying that the thing that the modular thing being made by DPWH is quite good. Why don't you make it a standard for all?
Sir, actually po, sir, yun ang ginagawa po, sir, ngayon ng sir. 45 days lang po yun, sir. Actually, kayang-kaya po nila. Kaya yung, sabi nga po ng DPWH Secretary Villar, yung lahat ng ospital na mayroong space, we can make 88 beds to 110 beds. So, yun po ang ginagawa po natin ngayon. Sa lung center po, ginagawa po natin. And then, kasama po rin po, Mr. President, may kasamang dormitory rin po yun ng mga nurses. Naka-incorporate na po yun, Mr. President. So maganda po yung project po ng DOH at saka yung ating DPWH na talagang pinakombine po natin. Ang ganda, sir, ng nakita po namin talaga may isang CR sa isang room. At saka meron po mga tubings na po na talagang may pang-oxygen at saka mga critical. Nandun rin po yung high flow nasal cannula at saka meron tayong mga ventilators po na pwede po doon. Magaling po si Yusek Vega kasi alam natin na siya yung parang nagano po ng SPMC. Sila po ang mga gumawa ng design at saka kasama po ang DPWH. So parang sa hospital administration, alam na po yung mga kailangan at saka yung modules at saka parang napakaganda po at saka mabilis ang paggawa po ng mga modular na po. Kaya po iyan po natin to, magiging model na po ito sa mga lahat ng hospital po natin nationwide. And even tumawag rin po ang St. Luke's, gusto na rin po nilang paggawa ng modular kasi nauubusan na po sila ng mga beds. Yun po ang gagawin po namin na Mr. President, with the direction of Senator Bongo as our...
How many modular beds have you produced at this time?
Sa ngayon po, sir, ang mga modular beds natin na produce, yung doon sa QI Institute, 110. And then meron din po tayo mga modular bed na ginawa po sa sir? Yung ginawa po sa Quezon City Circle. And then may mga dormitories po tayong ginawa na napakaganda po, sir, ng mga pictures po na nandito po. At saka nakikita po natin talaga na ito po napaka-comfortable po ang mga pasyente po dito. Nakita po talaga namin ni Secretary Duque na ito po talaga parang state of the art na napakabilis gawin. Parang kung sabihin po natin na hindi na po uso yung tent. Ito na po yung kasi yung tent. Konting hangin lang po at saka inuulan po. Ito po, maganda po ito po, sir. Pero tuwa po kami kay Secretary Villar dahil kasi nakagawa sila ng model na napakaganda po.
I think one of the few countries that have thought of that actually. The use of containers has been there.
Yes, sir.
yung an office, an extension office far from the construction site. Yung mga ganon. But to construct the COVID beds from yung ano natin, medyo maganda ang labas niyan. Bakit kayo nakalinya dyan? Balik kayo sa ano. What are you doing?
Sir, yung programa, sir, nung binuksan natin yung mga modular hospital sa Quezon Institute, Mr. President. So, yun lang po.
I was interested yung nakalinya kayo.
Opo, sir.
Pakita mo nga.
Opo, pakita yung picture. Sir, actually, sir, ginagamit na po ngayon, tumawag po yung lock center. Tinatransfer na po sila ng mga patient po doon. Kasi pwede pong i-transfer yung sa kidney, pwede pong sa ibang mga hospital malalapit po sa Isa Avenue. So, pwede pong gamitin po yun.
Kay Rolly ako. Tapos ka na? Not yet?
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Say, go ahead.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. President, Senator Bongo, and other members of the cabinet, magandang gabi po. With your permission, pwede pong ilabas po yung slide presentation ko.
Go ahead.
Secretariat, can you show my slides?
Well, if your talk does not need a graphic, you just
Yeah, Mr. President.
go ahead and
Very short lang po itong briefing ko, Mr. President. Before I proceed, nung mag-start po, before po mag-roll out ang special assistance payout, naggawa po tayo ng joint memorandum circular that stipulates the responsibilities, accountabilities ng ating pong mga LGU, at the same time, yung duties po ng mga other agencies. And this was signed by the Secretary of National Defense, the officer in charge of the Department of Interior and Local Governments, and yours truly. So ito po ang guidelines na to. It shows the implementation, at the same time the check and balance for the local government units during the implementation. So next slide, please. So ito po, Mr. President, ito po yung target individuals based on NEDA projection, which is 22.9 million. And the DBM allocated 22.9 billion for the targeted individuals. Next slide, please. Ang start po ng rollout is on April 6. Ibig sabihin po nito, lahat po ng mga LGUs under the NCR Plus areas ay simultaneously conducted the rollout at as of April 11, based na rin po to sa data ng ating DILG, ang actual beneficiaries paid is 1,757,281. Amount disbursed is 1,757,281,000. So 8%, Mr. President po, ang amount disbursed. Makikita po natin dito, talagang meron pong slow start ng rollout, pero as experience last year na talagang start po talaga mabagal, pero after 4 to 5 days doon na po nag-start yung mabilisang pag-distribute ng special assistance. Next slide. So, other than the special assistance, ito naman po yung mga status of the DSWD regular programs. Next slide. So, meron po tayo yung assistance to individuals in crisis situation. Tuloy-tuloy po ito. Not only in the NCR Plus, but nationwide, ito yung mga victims, also ng mga sunog, other calamities. Ang number of clients po na naserbisyuhan sa NCR Plus is 7,351 with amount disbursed of 47.2 million pesos, Mr. President. Next slide. Sa family food packs naman po, ang ginagawa po natin dito ay we provide augmentation sa ating mga local government units requesting for additional family food packs. Sa NCR Plus, 26,363 family food packs that were already augmented and given to the local government units for their constituents in the amount of 14.4 million pesos. Next slide, please. Status of standby funds and stockpile. Ang standby funds po natin, kasama po yung nandito sa central office, we have an amount of 526.9 million intended for the NCR Plus areas, at the same time in other regions. Dito rin po natin kinukuha yung quick response fund, and kaya po kung sakaling pumutok po yung Taal, which is showing signs of eruption, ay dito rin po natin kukunin yung budget to assist yung mga affected individuals and families. With regard to the family food packs, in the NCR Plus area, we have stockpiles of 99,317 and the amount of 54.4 million. Ito pong family food packs natin, tuloy-tuloy po ang repacking natin dito. Ang guidance ko po sa ating warehouses na pag mayroong mga LGU na nanghihingi, immediately we provide them with the family food packs. Ngayon lang po nagkaroon lang limitation sa repacking kasi po in-observe din po yung health protocols. In a normal situation, pwede po tayong mag-repack ng 50,000. But considering with the ECQ or MECQ right now, nalilimit lang po tayo sa 20,000 family food packs per day. Next slide. So, Mr. President, dyan po nagtatapos ang aking presentation as what the DILG, DND, and the DSWD are doing. Talagang minomonitor po natin yung distribution. In fact, daily, nagbibigay po ng schedule ang ating mga LGU at meron po tayong mga representative coming from the DILG, PNP, AFP, DSWD, just to ensure, Mr. President, na talagang walang makitang irregularities or anomalies sa distribution ng special assistant, Mr. President. Salamat po.
Yung isa sa lang sana ang tanong ko sa iyo was the last time we talked, I asked you to establish the safeguards of the distribution of the itong tulong. There's a term for it. yung bagong tulong na binibigay ng mga local government units. Have you made some whatever ma-check ninyo kung
Yeah. Yes, Mr. President. Actually, meron pong ni-require ang ating DILG to set up the Joint Monitoring and Inspection Committee for every LGU. Composed po ito ng DILG, meron din pong PNP, DSWD, and even mga prosecutor. No? So, ang purpose po niyan, tinitignan nila kung paano yung pagbibigay ng ayuda ng ating mga LGU. Ang pinaka-importante po dito ay ni-require din po ng ating DILG na mag-set up ng grievance and appeals committee for every LGU and even sa level po ng barangay. So, ibig sabihin, kapag meron pong mga complainant, immediately pupunta po sila sa grievance and appeals desk or even help desk at doon nila sinasabi kanilang problema. May mga nakakarating po sa amin na if in case may mga complaint, yung dating naging arrangement po natin sa DILG ay in-inform natin ng DILG, and ng DILG, they conduct the investigation and file appropriate case once na substantiated ang evidence do sa allegedly na local government officials or any officials of the LGU na nag-commit ng irregularity sa Mr. President.
that was really the whole thing that I was asking is how the DILG is putting up barriers against corruption. Nasagot mo naman, so thank you very much. Nakita ko si Sinas. Muna ka. Sige, sir.
Sige po, sir. Good evening, Mr. President, Mayor Rodrigo Roa Duterte, to the cabinet secretaries, head of agencies, and fellow workers of the government. Good evening po. These are the sequence of my presentations. It will cover the interventions of the PNP, result of enforcement and implementation of the enhanced community quarantine, and the transition from ECQ to MECQ, and the PNP situation updates. Next slide po. Next, sir. Mr. President, please allow me to present to you the PNP's actions on ECQ in the area of NCR Pass Bubble area. Next slide, sir. Next. AITF Resolution number 6106-A has placed NCR, Bulacan, Laguna, Cavite, and Rizal under ECQ from March 29 to April 11, 2021. Now, starting April 12 to April 30, 2021, we are now on MECQ. As an offshoot, the PNP has established a total of 71 quarantine control points or QCPs around the NCR Plus with personnel complement of 973 from the 3 police regional offices in the area affected. Personnel deployed to QCPs ensure that only APOR are given access to and from a certain area to address the surge of COVID-19 infection. Next slide. Pakibalik po. Pakibalik muna, sir. Internal law enforcement checkpoints were also established in the NCR Plus area to conduct law enforcement operation in relation to the implementation of the ECQ and MECQ now. A total of 189 checkpoints were established with a total of 1,736 personnel deployed daily to pursue this mission. Next slide. Aside from the deploying personnel to man QCPs and law enforcement checkpoints, the PNP also dispatched social distance patroller equipped with yantoks in places of public convergence such as market, transport terminal, to enforce physical distancing, a 1 meter distance between persons, and other related safety protocols aimed at further ensuring compliance to the minimum public health standard. Next slide. In compliance with the DILG, DSWD, and DND Joint Memorandum Circular Number 1, Series of 2021, or the Joint Implementing Guidelines for the Distribution of Financial Assistance to NCR Plus under ECQ, the PNP has also deployed a total of 1,860 personnel during the distribution of ayuda to secure the LGU and DSW personnel and to maintain the safety and order in area where the ayuda are being distributed. Next slide. Next slide. Next, sir. To ensure public safety and security during the implementation of the PNP COVID-19 deployment and vaccination plan, and in compliance with the PNP National Deployment and Vaccination Plan Caduceus, we have deployed a total of 14,942 personnel all over the country to provide security during the transport of the Sinovac and AstraZeneca vaccines. We have also implemented the Libreng Sakay program, utilizing, next slide please, utilizing all available vehicles to ferry stranded essential workers and APOR from their place of work to the designated drop-off areas. To date, we have accommodated a total of 31,000 individuals, employing 7,300 PNP personnel and 2,889 vehicles nationwide.
I must congratulate you for this.
Thank you very much.
I'll reserve my comments later. Go ahead.
Next slide, sir. The next slide will show the result of our enforcement operation during the ECQ from March 29 to April 11, 2021. Next slide. As of April 12, 2021, a total of 52,745 cases were recorded from the start of the implementation of ECQ. The most violated public health standard is the non-wearing of face shields, with a total of 26,939 violations, or 51.1%, followed by non-wearing of face masks with 14,122 cases, or 26.8%. 341 of violations on mass gatherings were recorded, while 4,720 cases were recorded for violation on social physical distancing. 6,600 cases were recorded on the violations of RA 1132, or the mandatory reporting of notable disease and health events of Public Health Concern Act. Likewise, next slide. The implementation of the unified curfew in the bubble area recorded a total of 38,715 personnel accosted. Said violators were either warned, involving 22,000 cases, fined 14,274 cases, while 1,483 of them were recommended for community service. Most of these violations, representing 31,168 or 80.5%, occurred in NCR. Next slide. Transition from ECQ to MECQ. Next. In view of the MECQ classification of NCR bubble for the next 2 weeks starting today, herewith are the adjustments to be made by PNP, particularly NCRPO, Pro 4A and Pro 3 supported by Highway Patrol Group, Maritime and ABSI Group, and augmentation from the AAP, Philippine Coast Guard, and BAP. First, we will maintain the present QCP and law enforcement checkpoints with an instruction to be flexible but firm when the need arises. We will expand the travel window time to 3 hours at QCP along economic highways to allow essential workers and permit employees to pass through QCPs without the need for vehicle inspection. Conduct of the regular risk assessment and hot spotting. Commanders or police station down to the municipalities in the bubble area are tasked to determine high-risk socio-economic activities to the barangay levels to determine the possible lockdown and to focus deployment of personnel in areas in coordination with LGUs and other concerned government agencies. 4. Sustain the conduct of pre-deployment briefing to all personnel prior to the deployment to the QCP for their situational awareness and updates on MECQ guidelines. Personnel who are deployed during the ECQ period will undergo RT-PCR tests in coordination with the PNP Health Service. And lastly, maximize the use of strategic communication on pertinent issues. Yes, sir.
Salamat. Can I...
Yes, sir.
Sino po bang wala? You have something to report. The ALG.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and good evening to everyone. I will be giving updates on COVID-19 as far as the DILG tribe bureaus are concerned, plus the updates on local chief executives, as well as on contact tracing. I will be skipping the fourth one, which was reported already by Secretary Rolly Bautista, except that to add that we left it to the discretion of the mayors if they are going to give the ayuda in kind or in cash. But so far, per our monitoring, there is only one who opted to give it in kind, and that is in Calauan, Laguna, Mr. President. And then so far, there are no complaints that we are receiving, because it's very easy to monitor and account, since these are being given in cash at 1,000 per individual.
Alam mo kasi yung ano, I also rely on the news as reported by the TV. Itong sa Double B, maraming nagreklamo na ano, so ask your field officers to try to make the rounds and investigate if these allegations are true. Sabi ko na nga, pero kung sabi mo nga as of now malinis, then I'll take it. But with an added caveat that continue to monitor and to your field officers kung wala naman akong ano nito ano. I do not have any reason to doubt the mayors, lalo na mga lalaki. Just the same, para hindi tayo mapasama dito sa television. Sige, may hindi sila binigyan, piso lang. Kung piso lang, grabe na yan.
Yes, Mr. President.
Standby lang siguro yun, pang tari-tari.
All our other secretaries and assistant secretaries, as well as our directors, ay sila po sir ang nagmonitor sa lahat ng LGUs. Umiikot po sila sir araw-araw. And so far wala kami sir natanggap na complaints. Yes sir.
May isa pa pala dito, and the most important actually is si Attorney Domingo Paniero. Doktor? Napalagi ako magkamali, sabi ko Paniero, doktor. Doktor pala ito. Yes, sir. Alam mo, may gusto ko sana mag-usap natin, dalawa lang. Pero okay na nga kung nandito na sa report mo. You can go ahead and do it.
Yes, sir. Opo, maiksi lang naman po on the status of mga vaccines at saka gamot. Meron po tayong konting presentation. Yan. Next slide, please. Yun pong mga bakuna po natin sa ngayon, meron po tayong, yung next slide po. So ito po yung status po ng mga nag-apply po sa atin tsaka mga inaasahan po nating mag-apply ng mga vaccines for emergency use authorization. Ang nag-grant na po natin yung unang nag-apply sa atin na 4. Ito po yung Pfizer, yung AstraZeneca, yung pong Sinovac at yung pinakahuli po yung Sputnik, yung Gamaleya. Meron pa 5 po tayo na application from India, yung Bharat Biotech. Meron pa po silang kulang sa atin na kailangan i-submit na proof of good manufacturing practice. Pero malapit na rin pong matapos yun basta makumpleto lang po nila yung kanilang mga requirement. Noong pong March 31, right before Holy Week, sir, nag-apply na rin po yung Janssen, yung Johnson & Johnson. Ito po ay isang one dose lang po binibigay. Meron na po itong EUA sa US, sa Europe, sa Canada, Switzerland, at saka sa WHO po na emergency use listing. So ito po ang ongoing evaluation natin and we hope to finish all of this po within the week. Pagkatapos po, ang hindi pa tayo po malinaw, yung Sinopharm, meron pong sumulat sa amin na gusto mag-apply pero nung hiningan po namin ng requirements, hindi pa po nila binibigay and we're still waiting for that. Yun naman pong Moderna, tinatanong po namin, fina-follow up po namin yung application nila. Ang sabi po, kinocomplete pa nila yung kanila pong documents and that the local partner will submit hopefully po this week. Yung Moderna, meron na rin po yung EUA sa US tsaka sa European Union. So hindi naman po tayo matatagalan sa pag-evaluate po niyan. Medyo nagbabasa-basa na nga po tayo yung ating mga evaluators kahit wala pa pong submission. And then yung last po na in-expect natin, probably po ito baka after the second quarter pa mag-a-apply yung pong Novavax. Ito po ay wala pang EUA kahit sa ibang bansa at mukhang mga June pa po yata, May or June pa sila mag-a-apply. So possible po sa atin towards the later part of the year pa. So ang hinihintay po talaga natin na mag-apply ay yung Moderna. Next slide please. Sa mga gamot naman po, ang mga gamot na ginagamit ng ating mga espesyalista kontra po sa COVID-19, number 1 nga po yung Remdesivir. Tinanong po natin sa mga importer natin yung availability of stocks dahil last week po medyo nung nagka-surge, nagkahirapan po yung distribution sa hospitals and nagkahirapan po ng supplies. Pero nagdatingan na daw po yung kanilang mga supplies and they assure us that there's availability of stocks for at least 1 month. Pero tuloy-tuloy naman po ang import nila. At ang mga ospital kumukuha po ng compassionate special permit niyan galing po sa FDA para magamit sa mga pasyente nila. Pangalawa po yung Favipiravir or yung Avigan. Meron pong stock sa mga hospitals natin yan. Usually given po ito to mild to moderate na COVID. And meron din pong compassionate special permit. Kasi po itong mga gamot na ito, hindi pa po sila fully registered dito sa Pilipinas. So they get a compassionate permit from the FDA para po ma-import nila. Yung pong tocilizumab, ito po ang talagang nagkaroon ng shortage, including up to this week. Because there's only one manufacturer and supplier for this drug. It's a patented drug. At although ang magandang balita naman po, kanina nag-email na yung supplier nito at may padating na po daw sila na 5,000 doses sa Pilipinas this week. So this will be distributed to the hospitals. This is a registered drug. So wala pong problema ito, meron po itong CPR. Ngayon po yung pinapareport din po nyo yung ivermectin. Yung ivermectin po sa ngayon, hindi pa po siya included sa treatment protocol po na sinusunod ng Department of Health at saka ng ating mga infectious disease specialist. Pero yun nga po, may mga nag-a-advocate nito. Kaya so far, nakatanggap na po kami ng last time, nireport ko po sa inyo, ang mga registered lang nito kasi ay mga gamot na yung ivermectin po na panghayop, walang pang tao. So ngayon naman po, as of last week, meron na pong 3 na kumpanya na nag-signify ng intention nila to register yung kanila pong produkto na ivermectin na pang tao at binigyan na po namin sila ng listahan ng requirements. At basta naman po sila mag-submit, i-evaluate naman po agad ito ng FDA. And then, na rin pong isang nag-apply ng hospital ng compassionate special permit para magamit po nila sa mga pasyente nilang naka-admit following clinical trial protocols po that are ongoing overseas. So ito po ay na-approve na po natin at pinayagan na po natin. Next slide please. Ngayon po, currently ang registered po na ivermectin sa Pilipinas ay para pinapahid po sa balat ng tao at saka meron din pong for animal use, no, for veterinarians. Pero yun pong meron pong mga pharmacy sa Pilipinas na licensed pharmacy na meron po silang permit to do what we call compounding. Yung tinitimpla po nila yung gamot at ginagawan lang capsule pag may prescription ang isang pasyente. So meron po mga pasyente na may prescription ng ivermectin, pwede po silang pumunta sa compounding pharmacy and the compounding pharmacy can make the medicine for them. But this is of course per prescription. Kailangan po may reseta yung pasyente. At saka individually po piniprepare ito. Hindi po ito pwedeng for mass distribution kasi kung ganun po commercial, kailangan po i-register na Certificate of Product Registration. Next slide please.
Matanong mo na kita.
Ito po discuss. Yes sir.
May nalaman ka ba na may sakit na COVID na gumaling sa ivermectin? Ivermectin?
Marami po kasing nagkiklaim na ito po ang nagpagaling sa kanila. Kaya lang at the same time, marami naman din po sila kasing ibang gamot na iniinom. Kaya po ang sinasabi ng atin mga espesyalista, hindi naman natin masasabi na ito yung nagpagaling sa kanila at na medyo kulang pa po tayo ng ebidensya. So marami naman pong ongoing na clinical trial sa buong mundo at hinihintay po natin ng resulta yon. At ang sabi nga po ng DOST, hindi naman tayo kailangan ng gumawa ng clinical trial dito. Hintayin na lang natin yung mga final results. Ito pong mga clinical trial that are going on right now.
Tama, because I think that medicine is for animal use.
Well, yun pong sa ngayon, opo. Pero meron din naman po talagang pang tao dito. Pero it's really po an anti-parasitic. Para po sa mga bulate, para po sa mga skin infestation. Doon po siya na-design. Hindi po siya originally designed as an antiviral.
Are you true?
Yes, sir. Opo.
So, list of Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, PDEA, personnel dismissed from service. Joselito Ramos, Intelligence Officer, grave misconduct for testing positive for drug use, dismissed from the service. Ray Olfato, administrative for testing positive of drug use, grave misconduct. Itong si Dennis Maria Mercado, Dennis Marie Mercado, Administrative Aid 3. Grave misconduct, conduct prejudicial to the service. Babae ito. George Bariso, Prison Guard 2, tested positive for drugs use. Dismissal from the service. Puro ito, no? Taga-PDEA na may tama. Bakit na ganito? So anyway, yun lang ho. Ganun man ang payo namin sa inyo, the same, yung dumistansya ka sa mga tao na alam mo na may COVID o kaya yung hindi mo alam may COVID, mas lalo na gano'n ka ng mga distancing and the mask and itong sa face mask at yung sa covering, face cover, those are the things that would really greatly help you in your quest for a healthy life at this time that is really a must for everybody. So mga kaibigan ko, kailangan ninyong maniwala, hindi dahil sa gusto namin na may MECQ kayo, ECQ kayo o i-presuhin kayo lahat. Much as we hate it actually, doing it, we have to because on our shoulders for the lap of the grave responsibility of seeing to it that the nation is safe. You would notice that halos lahat dito, hindi naman doktor pero may papel kaming dinadala sa aming trabaho. Maraming salamat sa inyong pagkikinig.